Did you know that every week the world loses at least one species of wild flower? There are over 20,000 species threatened with extinction, many of them very beautiful, some of them represented by only one known surviving plant. Barbara Everard has painted some of the rarest and most endangered flowers for a map called Vanishing Flowers of the World. She showed it to Dilys Breeze.
Barbara, first of all, let's start near home. Which of our own British plants have you portrayed that are severely endangered?
Well, on this wall chart, we've portrayed the lady slipper orchid.
Oh, it's a beautiful
Yes.
plant, that, isn't it? Can you describe it for me?
Well, when it first comes up, it looks very like as if it was a lily of the valley coming up. And then it produces this one little flower, which has a little pouch.
Yes.
And thus it's called the
A yellow
slipper
pouch.
orchid, a little yellow pouch.
Mm. And I see that Scotland also has its endangered plant, the Primula scotica.
Primula scotica, yes. Primrose, which is covered with a sort of yellow mealiness. Very small.
Now, moving round the world slightly,
Should we
and
go west?
go west, yes, yes. Now then, there is something there which is labelled buttercup. It doesn't look at
Yeah.
all like what I think of a buttercup as.
Most unbuttercup-like looking buttercup, but it's for all that it's called the Peruvian buttercup, Lacopetalum giganteum, a giant buttercup from the Andes. And I'm told that they feed it to their animals, which is probably the reason why it's become so rare. But it's enormous. They had it as a live specimen at Kew a year or so back, and it created quite an excitement.
Well, moving now round the map in an anti-clockwise direction, I can see something I don't really need to ask you where you got your specimen for. It's a lovely sort of pincushion-like cactus, and turning round by the side of my chair, I can see what looks like the model for
Ferocious
that
looking
one.
article, yes. My grusoni, Echinocactus grusoni, grandmother's seat, I call it.
Well, all I can say is grandmother's got a pretty resilient seat because it's covered in spines.
Shocking thing. I've had my plant, 20 years at least. And the reason for it being so rare in Mexico is that it's been over-collected. So I am one of the people who's helped to do that.
Although you were not aware of it, presumably, when
I
you
was
did.
not aware of it at the time, but I am now.
Yes. Well, yours looks huge to me. I suppose
not.
a couple of feet round.
It's not. No, its circumference is 36 inches.
Yes.
But I think they can go to a good, that again.
Twice
in
that
size.
size.
Yes, I've seen them in the south of France, in the cactus garden.
We're moving now down to the south, which I presume is South Africa and Australia, New Zealand, those countries.
Yes,
There's one-
south of the equator.
South of the equator. There's one here with the most beautiful name.
Which one?
Well, a beautiful plant too. The Poor Knight's Brush Lily. Can you tell me anything about that?
Yes, as long as I don't have to pronounce its Latin name.
No, we'll forget about that.
It's on some of these little islands off New Zealand. And it's a curious thing because as I've drawn it, so it grows. It comes up and then goes sideways. Really, like a toothbrush.
Like a toothbrush,
Yes.
a deep red toothbrush.
Well, it's rare.
Now, there's one right down in the corner there that I'm hoping you have something a bit more cheering to tell me. Is
Probably not.
that pronounced Disa?
Deezer, yes, the
Yes.
Deezer. Rare orchid, now protected. So that's a good thing. That's cheerful, isn't it?
Yes. I'm glad to hear there are some
Yes.
cheerful things to say. Now, I've moved round again.
Yes.
I'm now at
East,
4 o'clock
yeah.
on your clock, so to speak. And I can see that there are 2 palm trees illustrated.
And one of them, which hasn't got an English name, Medina argon, the fruit was discovered in the Egyptian tombs. But now, this really is sad, only 2 trees remain.
Goodness, 2 trees. And another one which strikes me as extremely beautiful is this one down in the bottom right-hand corner, Amherstia nobilis,
Pride of Burma.
pride of Burma. I don't blame them.
Once used to decorate temple gardens. found in rainforests, but I should think it's found in very few rainforests now.
Well, to my ignorant eye, it looks a bit like a very beautiful red honeysuckle, the flower.
It belongs to the pea family,
Mm-hmm.
the same family as the flame of the forest, which is also equally rare.
Barbara, it is very discouraging looking at these really beautiful plants which you've illustrated. What are the chief reasons why they do become extinct?
It seems that it's overgrazing and collecting, digging them up. Our own primrose, the same thing is happening. You can go a good 40 miles out of London, I think I'm right, before you find a primrose growing by a roadside. This is it's the same thing. And, of course, civilization, airfields and factories and reservoirs. Invariably a reservoir is put where there's a rare plant. It's us. And pigs and goats on these little islands where, say, the hibiscus grows and some of these little things. This brush lily of New Zealand. It's the goats and the pigs that have been introduced by man.
But when you say collecting, presumably that includes collecting by many of us who'd think we were real plant lovers, that is, the gardeners.
Yes, to an extent one has got to be careful. I mean, I am at fault with my cactus.
Yes. People who buy your map, what do you hope their reaction will be? What sort of interest or pleasure do you think they're going to get out of it?
I hope it'll wake them up. I mean, we all know about the animals and the birds, but it's the plants as well as the animals and the birds. I think the plants are just as serious because, well, if we don't have the plants, what the devil are we going to do? We all need plants.
Dilys Breeze was talking to Barbara Everard, whose map Vanishing Flowers of the World is published by Bartholomew and is available from bookshops at 50p. Royalties go to the World Wildlife Fund.